It's 2023 and therefore time for the next installment in the annual What's in my camera bag video. And actually compared with last year, well, I changed almost everything. And by that I even mean the bag itself. Let's get into all of that right after the intro. This right here is the Edelkrone camera bag. It's massive. It can carry a whole Edelkrone setup if needed, and if not, can take all of my gear that I need on set all at once. The bag is huge and has a volume of 42 liters with the following dimensions. It has 9 additional divider pads that lets me customize the interior the way I need it for my next shoot. And there are also multiple straps that lets me secure even more things. And then there are 3 different types of compartments that I mainly use for smaller things such as SSDs, pocket lights or sometimes batteries. On the side of the Edelkrone bag, you can strap down your tripod with its integrated side straps, and there are also 2 front pockets for smaller items. The last opening is the one on the top, and this is mostly used as a quick access to the inside. So if I need to have my camera out more, then you can arrange the interior exactly the way you need it to be. Pretty good, and it works very flawlessly. And then, and that's also a great thing, the shoulder straps and harnesses are padded, making this very comfortable even on longer trips to your destination. I have this backpack since last February or March or so, and it's been on every single shooting since then, as you might see on its outside, with all the patches of small damage and dirt. It's a great but very expensive backpack. Next up, we talk about things to put into the backpack. In that case, first, cameras. As a B-cam, I'm still using my trusty old Sony ZV-e10. Old, which hasn't disappointed me in any way. It's the camera that has worked so far and made me decide to switch over to the Sony camp after using it for quite a while. It's in my opinion still the best beginner Sony camera, with the most features for a great entry level price. If you're interested in a closer look, I made a very detailed review video right here. And so, let's get into my A camera. Last year, I was still filming with the Pocket 4K Sigma 18-35 setup, but I was debating to switch over to the Sony lineup and especially the FX3. Well, almost. I got myself the FX30 instead. It's almost the same camera, the same great E-mount lenses and the same batteries, but with a smaller Super 35 sensor for half the budget to invest. It's a game changer, I have to say, in quite a few ways. First off, the main reason was unifying my camera setups, and since I had the Sony ZV-e10, it was a logical choice to get another camera from the same brand to only have one set of lenses in the future. And second, well, the autofocus and therefore ease of use when making videos for YouTube as a single shooter is what convinced me in the end. And also, it's a damn good film camera. It's the best Super 35 sensor you can get right now. It can shoot up to 4K 120, it can give you RAW files over HDMI output, the codecs are easy to grade and manipulate in post. When you actually get the hang of it, it took a bit, but now I know how to do it, and the image coming from this tiny camera is actually fantastic. I'm using it together with a Tilta full cage for mounting many more things to the camera as well as for protection reasons. And when I'm not using it, as my main YouTube talking head camera, the Smallrig wooden handle is attached to the top as well. This has a nice locking mechanism, can be rotated to use the handle as a top or as a side handle in a matter of seconds, and it has lots of mounting points for other accessories, such as the Atomos Ninja V that I'm using not only as my monitor for checking if I'm actually in focus, but also for recording in Apple ProRes 422 over HDMI to get a better and more gradable image out of the Sony FX30. Also, this thing is the best and most flexible monitor that I've ever used. It can be powered by standard NBF batteries in every size. It uses SSDs for recordings, which I actually really love, and has a billion features built in, such as onion skinning images over your current image, which is fantastic for getting back into the same exact position for VFX shots. And there's a whole ecosystem built around the monitor itself that transforms it to a wireless over-the-cloud shooting solution, okay, or a live streaming device, which is fantastic, and many more things. It's great if you want to go into the more professional route over time. Speaking of professional, it's time to talk about lenses. I'm using two Sigma lenses for all of my talking head setups and for everything YouTube related. These are the same lenses that I had for the last 2 years. Lens number 1, the standard classic Sigma 16mm f1.4. Well, it's in my opinion the best all-around lens for shooting close, wide-angle shots, be it either people or products. It's a classic and I really enjoy this lens, well, for its quality and the image it produces. And the second lens in my arsenal is the one I'm filming on right now, the Sigma 18-50mm f2.8. Here's a review of it, and it can handle almost everything there is in terms of scenarios thrown at it. I use this primarily for talking head scenarios, and I take it with me whenever I go somewhere I actually haven't been before, since it is so flexible in its usage profile. And then, well, this lens right here. My first ever Cine lens. It's the Irix 30mm t1.5 in PL mount. PL mount, you may ask? Well, since I'm planning to keep them for a long time and maybe update my camera sometime in the future to something more professional, I went with PL mount. I bought them after looking at a million different other Cine lenses in the really budget price range, but decided to go for something a bit more premium instead. This thing, and I'm holding it right now, is heavy. It has a great focus draw of 180 degrees and the images look very clean, but also a tad dreamy, which is what I actually really like when it comes to images. On the Super 35 sensor of the FX30, since this is a full frame lens, the 30mm is equivalent to a roughly 45mm, so the perfect portrait size. This thing is built like a tank and I'm looking forward to getting the whole lineup over the next years to experiment and use them to its fullest. I'll drop a review on this in probably a couple of weeks when I actually had the opportunity to take it onto a more professional film set. So far though, I really like what I shot with it. Next up, we're speaking microphones. For wireless solutions, I'm still using the Rode Wireless Go 2 mic, which I had zero flaws with since I bought it at the beginning of last year. Its great reliability, the zero lag, the quality and the built-in security channel is what makes me consider using it on every set I take it to. It's easy to use, the battery life is great and it can be used without a lav mic attached to it when you forget it. And still, it really sounds very good. This thing is something I would take with me and not upgrade it until it has a defect or it simply stops working in a couple of years, I guess. And then there's my trusty old Deity D3 mic, which I use as my on-camera mic if I go vlogging, which I rarely do anymore, or if I want to record sounds and foliage on set. It's still a great shotgun mic and I've seen it for roughly 60 euros or something now, which is dirt cheap for a mic with this quality. Next up, let's talk power and batteries. For my Sony FX30 I had to switch to new batteries, in this case the NP-FZ100, which are the bigger batteries that also go in all the full frame Sony cameras. I ordered myself 3 of them and so far this is plenty enough juice for a single shooting day. What I also ordered is this nice battery holster right here, which has been produced by Peter Lindgren and can hold up to 3 batteries as well as 3 CFast Express Type A cards. It's a nice organizing system, especially when you use the arrows on the batteries themselves to indicate if it's full or empty, depending on the way you actually insert the battery into the holster. Great idea, great little organization thingy that I gladly take with me on set. This right here is a set of filters I always have in my bag. Since I'm using 2 different lens sets with different outer ring diameters, I also have 2 different filter sets. First off, this right here is a Pro Mist filter by Better Focus in a 1/8 strength, which I use in my Sigma lenses for making them look smoother, as well as blooming the highlights a tad. And then there's also this ND filter for blocking out the sun and having the flexibility to control the exposure with it. I also use this on my Sigma lenses when shooting outdoors or in bright sunlight. And then for my Irix Cine lens set I ordered their own 86mm neutral density 2 to 5 stop filter that attaches to the front of their lenses. The great thing is with Cine lenses, they all have the same diameter and so you only have to buy 1 filter for the whole set. More on this in my upcoming review video on the Irix lens itself. And I also bought an 86mm very slim UV protection filter for the Cine lens, but not because of the UV protection itself, but rather for protecting the lens, since a bit of cheap glass, 19 euros, in front of your very expensive glass, 1400 euros, can help you in many situations, especially when you're filming a lot of sparks and metal being chipped off. And now, last but not least, I have this small tech pouch with me all the time, which is made by a company called Side by Side. They have been kind enough to send me one of their pouches for review and usage, as well as offering one of them for my viewers as well. More on that after this segment. This thing is mostly used for storing and organizing things you take with you on set. Things like cables, memory cards, batteries, tools, and many other things. I'm primarily using it as follows. In the first compartment I mostly store an excess battery charger, depending on which batteries I take with me, as well as a travel dock for connecting and transferring data to my MacBook. On the other side we have a spare set of SD cards for my Sony cameras. I'm often, and I mean very often, forgetting to check if I have a SD card in the camera, so it's great to at least have a separate one. Then in this small pocket with a zip bag I take a pack of Edelkrone Allen keys with me. Those are great since they are the two most used standard sizes, and they are the ones you need when working with your Edelkrone Chip 1 setup quite often. Next up, this is the compartment for even more spare things like cables on the one side. I always have a spare USB-C or HDMI cable pack there, as well as at least one battery of every type of battery I'm using with my cameras. Hopefully, of course, fully charged. And then in this small little pouch right here I have a USB A to C and a USB C to C cable, mostly for data connections, charging or transferring. And then, because having spares of everything saves your ass on set, I also, and this may sound a bit ridiculous, a spare Atomos 512GB SSD for recording with the Ninja V. You never know if one of them has a fault, or if it's full or damaged and you need or should have one more with you always on set. And then in the last compartment I have a pack of my filters that I use. In this case it's the ND filter set for my Sigma lenses, and also very handy a 5-pack of cable ties. You never know again when to use cable ties for hanging, securing or doing whatever you do on set. So much for what's in my tech bag inside my actual camera bag. Now Side by Side was nice enough to give me a second one of their bags as a giveaway for my viewers out there, so I'm giving this away to, well, one of you. Head down to the comment section and write down what is the most important thing inside your camera bag. And on the last day of January 23 I will announce a winner either through Instagram or through the community section here. Shipping and handling will be done through Side by Side. Now for the last point on my list, well, these small LED lights. I mostly have 2 or 3 of them, or these tube lights here, packaged tightly inside my bag to be used in the backgrounds of my shots, or to give a nice splash of color onto the subject I'm filming. These two, especially here, have been sent to me by Weeylite, and they are called the S05s. I like them very much because they are very easy to use and they can be easily positioned wherever you need them, since they are super small and thin and have a wide range of color reproduction. That's actually all about them and everything I have in my camera bag at the beginning of 2023. I hope you enjoyed this insight into the bag. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below and I'm glad to answer it there. As always, my name is Leech and I'm off writing the next scripts. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to subscribe to this channel. There are plenty more of this type of content and many other things available for you to watch. Have a great day, see you around, and goodbye.